still so much debris everywhere. Really should clean this place up, Goose.
Affirmative, Darren, but we've still got one more review to do. How about something a little bigger this time? Why not the new Final Fantasy MMO?
Splendid idea, Goose. Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, has some history, so I might just explain a bit about that first. Final Fantasy XIV was originally released back in 2010. It had a troublesome launch and received a lot of criticism, which left it with the lowest review scores of any game in the Final Fantasy series. In response, the developers publicly apologized for the game and started work on A Realm Reborn.
And Reborn it is. With releases on both the PC and the PS3, it's one of the very few games to have cross-platform support. This means that if you own the game on PC and your friend owns it on a PlayStation, you can still meet up, hang out, and take on some nasties together. And that's pretty exciting news, especially for an MMO.
Oh, affirmative. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Final Fantasy series, don't be put off by the 14 in the title. While each Final Fantasy game has elements that are retained throughout the series, the stories are self-contained, so you won't be missing anything if you haven't played the other games.
That said, there are plenty of nods to fans of the series which won't go unnoticed, not least the Chocobos. But first things first, character creation. No! I was actually a bit underwhelmed by the options here though. I'm not sure there was quite enough variety.
And there aren't any robots. Very disappointing. You do get to select from a wide range of roles or jobs, and there is very little pressure in that decision, as later in the game you'll be able to switch between classes at will. A great feature that we're seeing more and more of in MMOs.
Yeah, I love that freedom, Daz. One thing true to all Final Fantasy games is that they're unashamedly fantastical. One minute you're on a fantasy zeppelin about to embark on a mythical adventure, the next you're watching some sort of space tyrant deliver a speech about global domination.
Eorzea, a blighted realm, riddled with false gods.
It certainly keeps things interesting.
The design is spectacular too. There's a real sense of scale to the world where everything feels appropriately grandiose. It feels like a huge, untamed world which really appeals to my inner adventurer.
There's also a wonderful mixture of creatures ranging from cute to downright ugly and scary.
The combat is similar to Final Fantasy XII, in which you took on enemies in an open-world environment. You'll mainly be facing off with one enemy at a time, and it's all a bit slow. For some classes, a lot of abilities can only be activated while your character is standing still. But that's because the game is encouraging you to work with other classes.
And that becomes quite obvious in some of those dungeons. Once you've reached a suitable level, you're able to use the game's duty log to queue up for instances and guild quests from anywhere. It will team you up with a balanced group of healers, damage dealers, and tanks to take on the tough enemies inside these dungeons.
Affirmative. And it's not only instances that encourage team play. There are also events called fates which regularly occur in the open world. Large groups of people can jump in to take out swarms of baddies, or one large boss for a decent XP and gold reward.
Darren, I love a game that brings people together like this.
Oh, Goose, you old softy.
Unfortunately, the PS3 hardware doesn't quite do the world justice. The graphics are heavily scaled back, and there are moments where the frame rate drops significantly. But still, it's great to see another MMO on consoles. There is a lot to love about A Realm Reborn, but I didn't quite love it enough to want to pay a monthly subscription to play, so I'm giving it 7.5 rubber chickens.
There aren't many options out there for spawnlings who are keen on checking out MMOs, but this is one option, and it's a good one. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.